Okay, so part 2 of chapter 1 is adding and subtracting fractions. These are pretty simple, okay, and I do have a several rules when adding or subtracting, and so these are my rules. It's when adding and subtracting fractions, both denominators must be equal. If not, you cannot add or subtract. So my example here is 1/2 plus 1/2. You see how the denominator is the bottom one has 2 in both of them. Therefore, I can add. And now, be careful because this is where a lot of students get confused. They tend to add the denominators, but no, the denominator stays the same. We do not mess with it. We just make sure that they're the same number. If it is, we keep it and we just add the numerators, which is the top. So 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 over 2 simplifies to just 1. Okay, so that was the example that I put there. Half plus half. Denominators are the same, therefore I can add the numerators. So what happens if they're not the same? If they're not equal, then we must make them equal. Just simple as that. Either add or subtract the numerator and keep the denominator. Okay? So this is my first example that I have here. I have one adding and one subtracting because they're, like I said, either add or subtract, same rules. Okay, the only thing is we're adding and this one is subtracting. Now, I know in elementary, well, when I was in elementary, we learned having to multiply this one and finding its factors and, multiplying it by this side and making this one, say, 12. Because 3, we multiply this side by 3, makes 12, and this side by 4. That gets to get really complicated. Okay, another method that I learned is to do this. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and ignore the plus sign. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ignore the plus sign. I don't need that right now because I'm going to be multiplying. What am I going to be multiplying? I'm going to be multiplying diagonally. So I'm going to multiply this 2 by this 4. Okay, and I'm going to put the answer on top. So 4 times 2 is 8. Very good. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. This denominator, I'm going to multiply it by that 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, I'm still not going to worry about that one because there's one thing I need to multiply. One more. It's my denominators. 3 times 4. I'm multiplying the 3 and the 4. And I'm already going to leave it on this side. What's 4 times 3? 12. I already got my denominator. Okay? And I'm done with that part. So now I ask, okay, what do I do with that 8 and that 3? That's where my plus sign come in. What am I doing there? I'm adding. So I'm going to go ahead and move that plus sign on top. And so I ask 8 plus 3 is 11. And then I ask, do I need to simplify? That's it, because 1 times 11 is the only two factors that I get, and 11 is not part of that 12 when I'm factoring. So this is as simplified as it gets. Hopefully that was easy. Okay, so again, just multiply diagonally. You get your number there. Multiply diagonally. You get your number there. Multiply my bottom numbers. That's your new denominator. And then you ask, am I adding or subtracting? What's the problem doing? It's adding, so I'm going to put the plus in there, and then I'm going to add 8 plus 3, 11 over 12. Okay, again, questions, please go ahead and tell me or ask me, and I will try to either do another example or answer any questions that you have. Same rules apply to my subtracting fractions. Okay? So let me look for the first step, which again I say, do they have the same denominator? No. So then I have to make sure I find it. Okay, so then I ask, I'm going to go ahead and ignore my subtraction sign. And I'm just going to go ahead and multiply diagonally. 9 times 5 is 45. And I'm going to write this on top. It always goes on top. The next one, 10 times this 3 here, my numerator. And that is 30. Right? And then, before I do anything with my top numbers, I want to finish off the numerator so I don't forget it. The denominator, excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and multiply these two. And ask what's 10 times 5. That is 50, so that's my new denominator. And then I go ahead and ask, what operation am I doing? Am I adding or am I subtracting? I'm subtracting, and now I'll go ahead and put that subtraction there and just subtract 45 minus 30, and I get 15. And then ask, can I simplify this? Yes, I can. I'll go ahead and just by remembering the little trick of the 5, it's the only way we can go ahead and simplify. And this is going to reduce or simplify to 15 divided by 5 is 3. 50 divided by 5 is 10. Can I simplify further? I cannot, because this is a prime number. 1 times 3 does not go into that 10. We're done. Okay, so one more time. 9 times 5, you get your product here. 10 times 3, you get your product there. And then you multiply your denominators because they're not the same. And I get 50, so that's the number that's going to go there. And now you ask, what operation am I doing? Am I adding or subtracting? We're subtracting in this case, so I'm going to move it up here. Now you do 45 minus 30. You get 15, and then of course you have to simplify. And in this case we could, and so we did. Okay, that's it for adding or subtracting. That's a little trick. And then of course, practice. I give you 4. You don't have to do all 4. If you understood this part, 1 or 2, or if you say, hey, you know what, I don't need help with this, you don't have to do it. And so it's, I decided on 2, 24, 26, and 16, just because it simplifies as well. So there's that. So that's it for adding and subtracting. It's that simple. And I put the section here for multiplying and dividing because, again, it's pretty simple. It's pretty self-explanatory. So the rules for multiplying, it is, I put here, it's the easiest operation to perform. Just multiply numerators by numerators and denominators by denominators. That's it. When we're dividing, it got easier, okay? I know when we were in school, we learned the reciprocal method, but that can get confusing because you have to flip the division sign or the fractions, and so no thank you. Okay, so let me teach you a trick to go ahead and make that easier for you. So I'm going to focus on the multiplying first. Again, multiplying is really simple. I'm just going to multiply top with top. That goes across. 1 times 9 is 9. Bottom with bottom. 3 times 5, 15. And then I ask myself, can I reduce? Yes, we can. I'll reduce by 3. And my new simplified is 3 over 5. That's it for multiplying. Top with top, bottom with bottom, and that's it. Dividing. I'm not even going to do the whole reciprocal where I make this into a multiplication and then I flip my sign. No, I'm not going to do that. Here's what we're going to do now. Unless, of course, you feel comfortable doing the reciprocal. Then, of course, by all means, do it. But I'm still going to teach you this other method so like that you have two ways to do it. Okay? And so here it is. I'm going to do this little zigzag. I'm going to put this just so I have it there ready. I'm going to multiply my 2 and the 7. But this answer is going to go here on top. It's like a little zigzag. Okay, so 2 times 7 is 14. I'm going to put this up here. What do you think the other ones are? This 5 and that 3, but then this one is going to go down here. So 5 times 3 is 15. Then I ask myself, can I simplify this further? I cannot. This is the simplified. We're done. You see how I saved my time from having to do the reciprocal? Again, that's the one I grew up with. I found this one easier for me when I was teaching, and my kiddos did too. I don't know which one you feel more comfortable. It's just a little zigzag. 2 times 7, but it is going to go on top. And then 5 times 3, and it's going to go on the bottom. And that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. And then for practice for those, I gave you 2, 4, 16, and 7. And this is on page 4. Okay, that's page 4, and this is page 3. 4 and 3. And then have questions, let me know. And we'll see you in the next section.